Welcome to the RSP Boiler Room. I'm Matt Waldman with the Rookie Scouting Portfolio. Today we're going to take a look at David Njoku. I think I pronounced his name right. He's the tight end for Miami. You're going to see him on the left side, inline in this formation. And this is a really nice play for several reasons. It's a good display of Njoku's athletic ability, also his attention to some of the details of the game that he just makes look easy. And to begin with, probably the most impressive part for me is how he sets up this play action pass with his part in the equation, because he's playing this outside defensive end, outside shade defensive end, playing 7 technique right here. And Njoku is going to act like he's sliding to the outside to give the defender the inside move, then try to behave as if he's desperately trying to continue to block this defender before turning the tables and releasing to the flat for what was designed as a play action pass all along. So let's take a look at that. You see that work inside right there. Looks like he's chasing the defender to push him inside, and it's not going to work, as if he just let the defender inside too easily. And then you see him spin around, break back to the outside, get his hands extended to the ball early, make the catch with good hand position. Then we're going to watch him turn upfield. Got the ball high and tight under his left arm, outside shade, which is nice to work outside the slot receiver. And he beats this defender just with his burst alone. He doesn't even need that stiff arm that he throws out there and misses on. And then watch this play. Got the defender, the cornerback working outside on the wide receiver at the goal line, and Njoku, instead of cutting back inside, takes off at the 3, completely leaps over the defender, and oh, by the way, his own wide receiver, who's barely even crouched down, does a complete somersault into the end zone. It's a crazy play. Let's look at it again in slow motion here. Again, the setup, setting up routes, especially as a tight end, when you can take that one step outside, and then rise up like this, that cues to the defensive end that the inside's going to be open, and the defensive end completely takes that. Look at how Njoku just reaches it, extends out as if he's overextending here. He's totally playing the fool to catch the wise on this play. And then you see him push downhill, and just as the defender looks like he's winning this is where you see both players turn outside, and the defender, I don't know what the defender's doing here. I think the defender completely misses that this wasn't a running play at this stage, and he does. But you see a good catch there. But let's go back to that defender. Play fakes really matter. And as you can see, when you bootleg like this and you have good extension, it can trick players inside. 23 goes sliding inside. This defender doesn't see the ball at first with this bootleg, and he peels off to the pile. That leaves this wide open. I love how Njoku looks immediately back to the quarterback. I love how he extends his hands to catch with the hands first. It's good hand position with the palms up from the waist up. And then he's prepared for the stiff arm. You can see a nice long reach that this guy does have. And he does get his hand on the back behind the helmet. He's able to push that defender down, and that's just enough to get his feet clear. So good use of his reach, good use of his burst, good location on the stiff arm, and then about 5 steps later, this is just impressive athletic ability to dive over the top like this. Good stuff. Here's another good display of Njoku's athletic ability and concentration too. He's got good body awareness and fluidity. He is the inline tight end to the right here of this 1x2 11 personnel shotgun formation, facing a nickel look. We've got a nickel back over here. You've got your two linebackers. And really what's going to happen here is you're going to see a cornerback blitz, which is going to put this safety 1-on-2 versus this wide receiver and Njoku. Clean release off the line. The cornerback comes. So does the linebacker. This linebacker at the hash doesn't really drop. So here we are with a 2-on-1 situation. Njoku automatically starts turning around once he sees he's got inside shade with no safety really over top to the inside. So he's looking back for the ball. When the ball arrives, look at what Njoku does. One thing I don't really love about wide receiver play with some options is that they will not extend for the ball without leaving their feet, and he does the same thing. He leaves his feet first when he could extend for the ball over his head and then snatch it back down and be in a little bit better position, maybe to take this oncoming hit from the safety coming inside to the right hash. Njoku makes the catch. He does secure it. He's able to turn away just enough so that he rebounds off this hit due to his size and also the way that he turned his body, and he turns inside again, takes a second hit, but he's got that size and strength advantage. He's also got good balance to spin inside that hit, so he takes two hard hits on this play. One guy is down on the ground, the other guy is still holding on for dear life, and he gains about another 9 yards after the catch on this play. Let's look at it again in slow motion from this stage, because we already saw this good separation skills here. Let's take a look at what he does after at the catch point. Here comes the ball. You can see that he can work on his hand position a little bit better. He's almost got them underhand, but then he kind of claps them together on the ball. He's got big hands. He's able to make the catch. He's just going to have to refine his position and understand which one to use so that it becomes a little more second nature. He doesn't have any careless drops because of the fact that his hands are out of position at times, especially when he's going to be facing oncoming defenders at the NFL level who hit it harder, who are a little closer to the ball at this point of the catch, and are a little more experienced with their aiming of where to be able to make a hit. But on this play, he comes down, gets 1 foot 2 down, and you can see he's trying to protect the ball, get both hands on the ball. He takes a hit to the chest, but I like how he uses that shoulder. You can see that shoulder on that play where he kind of gives him a little wing with that right shoulder. You can see him shove off of it there, and that helps him repel some of the impact of the blow. But he takes a second hit. You can see that's a pretty good hit that he bounces inside of as well. And you're looking at another 5 to 6 yards just after that play and that good extension. It's a guy comfortable with physical play. He's got good concentration, big hands, good speed, graceful. That's the thing that I would note about him, at least on the 2 plays we've seen thus far, is that he is graceful. He's graceful and comfortable with physicality. And that goes pretty far when you're a move tight end prospect for the NFL. Here's some more Njoku good news, because this is going to be a power play from a 23 personnel I formation set inside the 1. When they're running power to your side as a tight end, it's usually a good indication that the tight end's a pretty good blocker. He's going to take on this defensive end. I want you to see, we're going to do this in slow motion from the beginning, I want you to see some of the techniques that are at play here. He's not perfect at all of this, but he does a good job with it, and we'll look at it in full speed in a moment. Watch him come off the line, and he gets that front foot out so that he's pivoting inside out, and he gets his hands, his first arm, his hand right into that shoulder. He's got his pads down, his back somewhat flat. He's in a decent enough stance so that when he does get both hands in, he's now driving up with his hips. So he's rolling his hips into that contact, and that stands up the defensive end. That gives room for the fullback and the pulling guard to work inside this crease, clear out these 2 defenders, and the running back works behind the tight end, gets over the top, and should have scored here. I don't know if he did, but pretty close. Let's look at it again in slow motion. Again, hands, decent placement. They can be a little further inside, but he gets away with that. But I like how he's got the stance and he rolls those hips. You see how those hips drived and his back went up and his hips went in? That's driving that defender back and standing him up, and that's what you want to see, even if he's not punching as much as he's getting his hands in position and rolling into that force. Let's look at it in once at top speed, and now that you've seen all the components at play. One more time. Good work. Here's another good seal by Njoku, and this time it's against a different defensive end, and you're going to see some of the same principles at work in terms of him getting his hands in good position and rolling his hips to stand up the defender. And this is good stuff for a 245-pound tight end. It shows that he's got pretty good strength. He understands leverage. He is going to get beaten at times, and I'll show you a play earlier where he gets beaten. But first, let's take a look at this second play where, again, the technique is strong. He gets in there, gets a good strike, good hand position, and watch him roll those hips again. See how those hips roll? And he stands that man up. This is a block where he seals that outside, and this should be enough if everything else works out right on the inside for this running back to find a hole, but it's not what happens. But Njoku did his job here. We're going to look at it one more time. Look at it maybe a little bit slower here. See him come off the line. Once then, his hands are there. He gets a good push, rolls the feet upward. He drives the defender at least a yard back to the outside. It's the kind of play that you want to see. Now here's a play where Njoku gets beat off the right side by the same defender that he beat the play before in this series, but I'm going back a bit. As you can see, the defender gets his hands further inside, and he's able to continue to the outside here. Now Njoku is working outside, but because his defender's intent on working all the way up this hash, and he gets lower and he's stronger, he's able to drive through. And Njoku at this point is basically holding. There's not really much left he can do other than let go and let this defender get the wrap and foil this play. Njoku doesn't quite have the size yet to be able to foil these types of all-out runs to one side of the field. He's going to have to get lower. The defender got lower than him. He doesn't have the base really to hold up on that. He tries to turn the man outside and maybe hope that he can get him to the ground. But the defender does a good job using his outside arm to push off of this pulling defender, this pulling blocker, and get the crease. So Njoku had the right idea to try and help out here when he got overwhelmed immediately. But, you know, again, it's a size thing for him at this stage. Here's another nice initial display of technique from Njoku off the left side here. What I like about this is the punch. Get under and you see how the arms uppercut into the sides, and then he's able to roll upward. Now he gets shaked or shook and shed outside inside by this much bigger man. But the initial technique I like because as Njoku gains some weight and some power and gets a little savvier about the blocking game, the initial technique is there. I mean, this stands up the defender pretty well initially. It's that second move by the defender that gets him somewhat free, and by then it's not even going to be a fact. He's not even a factor in the play. So let's look at this one more time in slow motion. Got that first step. He's turning outside well. See where the arm goes? Gets that arm under the arm of the defender. And then you can see him rolling those hips upward and turning the man outside. That's a very good start. At this point now, the defender has got the size strength advantage and he's going to just discard Njoku. this point, the defender's well away from the ball carrier. Njoku's truest strength is his athletic ability as a receiver. There's a lot of upside for him as a primary receiver in a pass-heavy offense. And you're going to see some of that upside here on this fade route, working slot right. Good throw to work downhill when the defender's got that blocked off. And look at him fight through the interference. He's getting pushed, keep 1 foot in bounds, and make that one-headed catch. It's a beautiful job by Njoku to do that. We're going to watch it a couple more times here. Look at him keep his feet in bounds there, 1 foot in, and he makes one-handed stab on the ball. It's a really nice play. We'll see if we can see it from the other angle here. Nicely done. Now the thing is that when we watch Njoku on maybe a more routine play, the stick route, where he's going to work against this outside linebacker, you're going to see elements of what could become a really good route runner, but it's not quite there. And one of the biggest issues he has as a pass catcher, which is getting his hands in good placement on passes that are above his chest. He has a concentration issue, and he also has a technique issue. And they are the common errors that he shows as a receiver. First, the route. You can see that nice quick stick of the foot in the ground and sudden turn. He gets his hands around well. Now the ball's a little high. See how his hands are already palms up as the ball's arriving? Then he realizes that he's got to make the extension with his hands so that his palms are facing the ball rather than facing upward. When he does that, this is fine, though you could say that maybe the palms are on either side of the ball a little bit more, not catching the point as much as you'd like. He also has his head turned before he secures this ball. And he drops the ball because he's looking downfield trying to secure it, rather than looking the ball into his body. Now looking at this route a little bit more, let's look at, again, you want to see the bend in the hips here. But it's not quite as sudden as it could be. Here it comes off the right side of this line. Good job pumping the arms. But you can see it's a couple steps into this turn. I'd like to see just a one-step turn here. Be even more sudden, especially with that speed. But see how his hands, let's look at his hands one more time here if you can. See how the hands are low first? He's expecting the ball at his hips. Fine. And he goes to adjust. It's a good extension. But see how he's got one palm out as if he's like shaking someone's hand, and the other palm is on the opposite side doing that? That's not good technique. He needs to make a web with those hands. And he brings them up to meet the ball. That's fine. And he does make the catch. He's got big hands. He's able to secure the ball like this. But it makes it a little bit more difficult when he's not looking the ball into his body and he's turned away like this. Careless error. Something to keep in mind. Thanks again for watching. For more RSP Boiler Room videos, you can check out my YouTube channel, the RSP Film Room. You can check out my blog at www.mattwaldmanrsp.com. We'll finish this up with another nice look at this stiff arm. This beautiful dive.